Supergirl Season 2, Episode 20, The City of Lost Children. Very interesting title for this episode because I feel like it ties in a lot more to the end of the episode when we actually have the crazy reveal of, what was going on with Rhea this entire episode. But I really enjoyed what they did with it. I think they gave a great storyline to Jimmy as the guy who is like, he's kind of down in the dumps where it's like they give him, I always hate when they do this in TV shows, honestly, but they did the thing where he's the hero vigilante, but people freak out because it's like they're getting robbed, but someone saves them, and then because they're in a costume, they flip out. It's not like he was even an alien. Like, I get it a lot more when it's an alien beat up some other people, and then you like flip out because it's like you are scared of aliens as well, and you don't know how things are going to play out. But this is just a dude in an outfit. And it was just really funny to me. I was like, I always hate when they do that because it's like no person that's going to kill you is going to beat up the other two people and then wait and tell you, don't freak out. And then you scream, like, anyone that would do that would just get pissed off because the person's like, don't kill me. It's like, all right, you kept saying, I've told you 3 times I'm not going to hurt you. And then you're like, don't kill me. And they're like, I'm just going to do it because now I'm pissed off. And it just makes me laugh. I'm like, man, they do that all the time in superhero stuff. Whenever it's the vigilante thing, it's like, it just takes a lot of time. Unless it's just a dude just walking around, and people freak out because it's someone in an outfit, or like I said, the alien thing actually makes a lot of sense. It's like it's an alien, but it's just kind of funny. I was also doing a bunch of silly jokes when I was watching this episode, and I didn't know that I'd get so many opportunities. But I was making a bunch of silly race jokes with Jimmy in this episode because the first part I was like, she freaked out. I was just making a bunch of dumb jokes. It was like, oh, black guy and stuff. But it actually came into play in this episode, like him actually looking like this alien species that basically just looked like the whole race was black people. So it was interesting how that actually played into the episode a little bit, and it did lead me to my second joke when Jimmy does break into the house and he sees the kid and he takes the mask off and it's like, hey, I'm black like you. It was funny at first, but it was like a good element to the episode because that's how he was able to bond with that kid. And then they actually bond over their fathers while they were both soldiers, just in much grander scales, or much different scales. I mean, you're fighting for a planet, literally leaving your planet and fighting, and just it was really cool the way they actually kind of went about their relationship building in this episode. But I really loved how it was like the two stories tied into each other with like our actual villain, kind of tricking Lena the whole episode, and then Jimmy kind of being the hero without the suit. They tied in the craziest way because it was like, for most of the episode, it was just nothing whatsoever. And then it's like, they talk about, I figured it was, it was fairly obvious after a certain amount of time. It's like, okay, obviously the stories are connected. But I thought it was very cool that they were connected, but, the team didn't realize exactly what was going on. And then, of course, it leads to them learning what's happening because of, oddly enough, Lena and Kara actually just having a random conversation, and like anions was the big word that kind of stuck in Kara's head. And so when Lynn said it at the end, she's like, oh crap, that can't be a coincidence, it's got to be this. So I like the way how they actually blended the stories together, but they were still separate enough, especially when it came down to it. We still had like our superhero team going to stop the main villain from like this crazy super portal, and then we still had Jimmy and Wynn. They were going to try to save the young boy Marcus and his people because they were still being controlled, or like kind of just losing control really, when the portal came into effect. And I thought that was very interesting how it just randomly affected their that species. But I thought it was really cool, and it allows for Jimmy to have that epic moment at the end where he's able to do the hero speech, and he does end up saving Marcus, and because of them being all telepathic, it actually saves him, and then that links to the rest of the other people in the room where they're able to calm down and actually gain control of their powers as well. So that was definitely a really cool moment for his character, because it's just one of those things with him always freaking out. The woman freaking out in the beginning, and him not really, it's almost like he wants the recognition, but more than anything is like I don't need the recognition. I would love for people not to freak out, though. That would be great. So he certainly got that moment, and I think it was a really cool way to do that in this episode. But I really love the way they went about Rhea and Lena in this episode, and just them going through building this freaking machine, which I gotta say it because I enjoyed most of this episode, and then we get right to the end, and I was like, okay, so they got this crazy portal going. Kara goes in, John goes in, Mon-El goes in. He's gonna have a really epic moment because it's like what's he gonna do? He's fighting against his mother. And I was like, all right, I'm excited to see this. And so they get there, and the giant portal's going. the little twisty turbine thing is going, and I'm like, all right, what's gonna happen here? And apparently, the main idea of like, why don't I punch this giant spinny thing just didn't happen. Like, she went towards it, and it looked like a battery pack sparked or something. I was like, oh, okay, she stopped for a second, but I'm like, she'll be fine. And then she didn't, and she went out to like laser the portal. I mean, for John, it made sense. Like, he was like mind controlled, which was insanely cool, super dark. Whereas like he's trapped inside his own mind in a like mental nightmare. That was pretty dark, but I was like, that is actually a really cool item. So I was like, that's kind of cool. But it was like for the guys, it made sense. John was taken out by this little device. Mon-El, it's hard to, despite your mother being the villain, kind of hard to just shoot her in cold blood. Or not really in cold blood, but to shoot her in general. So it was like, for those guys, it made sense. I was just super confused. I was like, unless I missed something, but I was looking right at the screen. I'm like, okay, this little battery pack like sparked up, and that was it. Because I'm like, if they just punch this thing, it's done. Unless she did something and that's what caused it to spark, and that's why they mentioned the whole self-sustaining thing. But I'm like, that it has to be self-sustaining because the thing is moving. Like, that was the whole point. Like, that's the only part that could be self-sustaining. The portal literally takes the energy from that, and then it's created. So I mean, I guess that's what that was supposed to be, that was her somehow destroying it, but it looked like it sparked up, and then she was like, okay, and then didn't do it. So I don't know, I might have to recheck it and go through the scene again. But I was like, it still didn't make a lot of sense. Like, she didn't even seem to try based off of what I actually saw. And I was just like, that's really weird. Also, even if she did, the second dumb thing, if that wasn't the first dumb thing, she lasered the portal itself instead of the actual arc that was creating the portal. That was dumb. And of course, after that it made sense, because I was like, what is she doing? Like, she hasn't tried anything. And then it turns out she was knocked out that whole time until the ships came through. But I was like, why did she laser the portal itself? Like, why wouldn't you just hit it, even fly at it or something? Like, I mean, not at the portal, but the arc that was making the portal. Just fly at that thing, tear it to pieces. And I don't remember them mentioning anything about like a crazy explosion if they tried to destroy it or anything like that. All I remember is the self-sustaining thing. Of course, Lena wasn't able to turn it off. The thing fell on her head and she passed out for the rest of the episode anyway, so that was pretty much done. So it was just crazy. I was like, man, I feel like some really logical steps were kind of skipped over here with, someone who has super strength. And it was just weird to me. I'm like, why would she laser the portal itself and not the device creating the portal? Even if it's giant, just shoot, like, all you have to do is cut through like one really significant wire through this giant circle, and I'm sure it would have worked. But instead she shot at the portal, and then of course it reflected her like laser beam back at her, and then knocked her unconscious for the rest of the time. So I was like, well, that was just really dumb. Like I said, even if she did do something and I actually did miss it, that second part was just stupid. Like, why would you laser the actual portal itself? So that was dumb. There's no way around that. Like, she lasered the portal and then got knocked out. And I was like, that's just stupid. You attack the machine, not the actual portal it's making. But after that, we have a really great sequence, admittedly, with Mon-El. That's kind of where it cuts back and forth with Jimmy and Mon-El. And both those parts were really great. I love what they did with Jimmy, like I mentioned. Mon-El's part was really good. And I was like, I wonder if he is going to kill her. But I figured he wouldn't, just because it would be... mostly because of the fact that he doesn't know what really happened to his dad, and I'm like, once she lied to him, I was like, alright, they're gonna definitely keep her alive because he has to find out the truth. And maybe, like, I don't know if this will happen, it would be very, very dark, but I think it would be great writing if they made it where he found out the real truth as to what happened, and he actually does end up killing his mother because she killed his father. So I feel like that might be where that's headed. The promo makes it seem like at least Lena is being mind controlled, because she walks in like the red dress and stuff. He seemed like he was smiling, so he might be under some weird mind control as well. But it was hard to say. But I'm excited for where we're headed. We only have 2 episodes left, which is the craziest freaking thing, because that was what I thought when all the ships started coming through. I'm like, okay. Because one of the big things, and I mentioned this several times throughout my reviews for this season, is that we really haven't had like a significant main villain that's just been like, here is this villain, and they affect this many episodes. It's really been like, this person comes in every other 2 episodes or so, and like Lena really has done the most, I feel like, in the last episode with her, or Rhea has, talking with Lena. And it's just like, that's very interesting, because even when they first showed up, it was like just that one episode, and then they were kind of gone. It led into something extra, because, Rhea actually, of course, kills Beastmaster. I swear I can't remember his name. But And then she killed him, and I was like, okay, of course that's going to lead into something. And then it was still a few episodes later when she finally went and ended up talking to Lena to actually kind of implement the next step of her plan. So that's just how they've done like this whole season. In Cadmus, it was the same thing. Like they show up, they're gone for a few episodes. We have small villains come into play, and then Cadmus would show up again, and it's just been repeating like that for this whole season, which hasn't really been bad. It's just a very odd dynamic where you don't have like a set main villain. And I was like, it's really weird because this is one of those set main villain sort of moments, but we got 2 episodes, so they're either going to be defeated or they're going to make some sort of super truce within these next 2 episodes. Or, I don't know, I mean, it would be really cool if they did end it where the characters go on to be the main villains of all of Season 3. I wouldn't hate that. And we'll just have to see how it plays out. The next episode focuses on everybody teaming up together, which should actually be really cool. We have Katniss teaming up with them. Cat Grant comes back, so that should actually be really awesome. I would have to assume that this is a perfect moment to bring in Superman again, because you know you have all these people that are almost as strong as Kara, and you know like you have a billion of them at this point. So it's like, all right, well, you're gonna need some help here. You got Kara, John, Mon-El. If he's not being mind controlled, he's on the ship and like going through what seems like a wedding ceremony. So I'm pretty sure he's out of the picture for now. So really, you just got Kara and John, and that's it. You got 2 super strong characters. Everyone else is human. They're still fighting back. That seems to be the thing, because kind of a big point is that they are not bulletproof. The Daxamites that might be super strong and have seemingly super speed, I guess, because that was one of the things where they first showed it. It seems like, I'm pretty sure Mon-El does have super speed, but they are not bulletproof. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm actually excited for this next episode where it's like everyone has to team up to take on all the Daxamites because they want to like control Earth now. And I just feel like if Superman doesn't show up, that's just dumb. I heard that he was supposed to be coming back too, so unless that was supposed to be a tease for Season 3, I guess, you know, we'll see what happens with this, but I just assume this has to be like the moment. If not in this episode, then maybe he'll show up to help out in the finale, which I think would be a cool way to end off the season, where you have everybody team up and you bring Superman into play again. I think that'll be a great way to kind of round out the season. And even if they don't defeat all the Daxamites, we could still have a couple left over. Maybe, you know, they go into hiding and they come back into play in Season 3. But I don't know. You know, the next 2 episodes should be pretty intense with the Daxamites trying to take over National City. Everybody just going crazy trying to fight back. So I'm certainly looking forward to it. Really did enjoy this episode. I think they did a great job with Jimmy having really like the biggest focus in this. I really love that. So I think they did a great story for him. They did some really great stuff with Mon-El, especially when we got to the end where he really does have to confront his mother. And I still think they did some good stuff with Rhea and Lena and their sort of relationship, because one of the biggest things at the end is when they all get picked up by the ship, she basically had it ordered that they would take Lena as well, because she likes Lena. She prefers her as a daughter, of course, compared to Kara. So I thought that was actually really cool. I was like, oh man, she didn't just take herself and her son, she took Lena as well because she wants her to be her daughter. So I thought that's a really interesting bond that she's made with this character that she was manipulating the whole time. So looking forward to how the stuff is going to play out in these last 2 episodes. But of course, we'd love to know what you guys thought about this one. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts or least favorite parts. And I definitely want to know what you guys thought about Jimmy's story in this episode. It's kind of the normal story. It's kind of tropey a little, where it's the hero who isn't recognized as the hero. He's seen almost as just another villain to the people that he's saving. And he just wants to be allowed to go out and be the hero. Even with the DEO, they don't really want him there because he's still just a human in the suit. So I like what they did with his journey, where he gets to have that moment, even if it's something that you kind of expect. It was well done. I think it was really well done in this episode. But we'd love to know how you guys felt about his journey through this one, with, you know, coming to terms with being the hero that might not be respected all the time, but is still the hero. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.